Hello everyone, let's continue our mid-row tutorial. This section is going to be focusing on mid-row layout. And before I will explain how to build units in the mid-row, what I want to emphasize is that there are certain prerequisites for you to be able to use your mid-row game effectively. When you learn the game and when you transition your skill level to the mid-row skill level, you want to have a good understanding of units versus economy. Okay. Second understanding is that you want to master or have a pretty good grip on is syncing. Finally, you want to be able to know how to share control and when to share control. And optionally, it's a very good idea to know how to be able to play defense. Okay? Your defense game is only going to make your mid-row game so much more effective. Mid-row positioning and layouts. I'm going to cover 16 units ground layout. For starters, you can focus on just staying on top in the mid. And by placing your units in such a manner, when you have two units behind Nexus, remember there is space behind Nexus. Then you go 3 columns of ones. So 1, 1, 1. Then you go 2 tiles. So 2 tiles of 2 rows merged together. 1, 1. This is, you can see it's 4, 4, 2, 10, and 16 units in total. This is by far the most effective layout for ground units positioned in the mid-row at the top ramp. Let's continue. Now I have them all synced by this very ineffective synced way, but this is what it is. Now, if you want to have a combination of ground units and air units, the most units you can squeeze into mid-row is by placing your units in such a fashion. Again, there are 2 units behind Nexus, and these spaces are not to be blocked by pylons. Okay? Then you have a set of 4 air units and 2 tiles of 4. These are, of course, interchangeable in any manner. I prefer to keep my layout in this way. Alternatively, you can have a tile of ground units, then a set of 8 air units, and another tile of 4 ground units. Now you can see that this layout is 8 units plus 2 units, 10 units plus 8, 18. So this is a total of 18 units in the mid. And you can see in the top right corner that my supply is at about 70. So I had effectively placed the majority of my supply into mid-row. With the patch, whatever the patch number was, all units require 1 tile to exit. So it used to be in the past that ground units, like heavy ground units in the mid, would require a double space between themselves. This is no longer the case. You can have only 1 tile between buildings. Okay. If you want to put air units in the mid-row, then you don't need to have space between buildings. Okay? And it's pretty like self-explanatory. You just go ahead and pimp it up with your air units. Okay, and that has put 66 supply into my mid-row if I'm using scouts. If I'm using heavier air units, my supply is going to be higher when it comes to mid-row. And this is the basic unit selection strategy that we are going to cover in the next section of the tutorial. Okay, top mid plus plus, my little pro and dirty tip. You can have your 16 units in the top mid in this layout, and you can add another tile at bottom mid. Now, generally speaking, when you're playing pubs and people are not very good with playing their mid game, opening bottom mid is not a great idea because they just don't know about the nuking and playing defense and this and that and the other thing. I'm not going to go into details about this. But if you put a tile of units at the bottom mid row, then these units are not going to significantly affect the behavior of the incoming enemy wave. Contrary, if you have the ability to turn the enemy wave, like if you have a general ability to turn enemy wave, these units are only going to help. What is going to happen? The enemy units are going to come this way in this trajectory. When they see units spawning over here, they will go top like this and start fighting these units. So they will move here, then units are going to come down this way. The enemy units are going to be distracted by them. They're going to go down here. Then they're going to finish these units. Maybe they're going to go up and fight these units again. They're maybe going to go ahead and start attacking these buildings if they don't see any other units. In the meantime, these units on top may hang around the edge and start just getting free shots at the enemy units, whatever. You can go ahead, have a cannon, and instead of repairing the cannon, you can repair a building and allow your cannon to have free shots at the enemy. It's kind of like a dynamics that is going along, but it's a useful dynamics. This is going to, of course, be overrun by a heavy enemy wave, but if the enemy wave is large enough that it requires a nuke, then these units are not a factor. You just have to nuke it. Okay, but this is my quick and dirty tip, how to put even more units into your mid-row. You can see that by selecting heavy units that are tanky units and high supply demand units, I'm at 86 of my supply. Now, just so we cover all the basics, let's say you had partied up with the pros, quote unquote, or clan people or whatnot. And what they're going to ask you to do is to open bot mid and play bot mid. And you do it in a fashion that is exactly identical to these 4 tiles over here. You just build your ground in tiles of 4 until you run out of space, or you build air units without leaving space. You can see that, okay, you put your tanky high supply units in the bot mid, usually air, and you can see that I'm 226 of the total game's supply, which is pretty close. It means I'm going to be able to direct most of the units either top or bottom. And what ends up happening when you play with pros is that you put your tanky, the high power damage units in the mid row, and you put peripheral, auxiliary, or support units in your native lanes. Remember that air units do not require space to exit, so there are no spaces in my air thing over here. But ground units will require space to exit, so these tiles of 4 do have to have a space in between them. So this is it. 16 unit layout for the top mid You can add an extra tile of 4 over here. If you need to open bot mid when you play with professional players, quote unquote, you can do it in a similar fashion in the tiles of 4. When you get really good at this, you can go ahead and open bot mid, provided you have shared control and noobs have shared control with you, so you can assist them with nuking. You have very strong mid-swing game, so you can defend your lane effectively. And you have very strong defense. Other than that, I've seen a lot of people just building up on top mid and be pretty successful with it. Thanks a lot. In the next tutorial, or in the next section of this tutorial, I'm going to cover unit composition.